Eddie Gallagher, Navy SEAL, and he's going to be put on trial. And, he's literally been put in prison. And, the prosecutors are going after this guy because he murdered an unarmed, incapacitated teenage ISIS detainee receiving medical aid in the city of Mosul. You got him. Then you got Christian Saucier, takes pictures of his submarine. Then you got Clinton Lawrence. Clinton Lawrence was given 30 years in jail. And because of Obama rules of engagement, this guy has to make a second decision as the platoon leader for his men when two guys on a motorcycle start racing towards them, which, by the way, had happened a week and a half prior. And a week and a half prior, members of that platoon were killed by guys on motorcycles doing this. Then he makes the split-second decision. What does he get for it? 30 years in jail. I mean, we're going to send men and women out to fight for our country, and we're going to put handcuffs on them to begin with. Then we're going to try them if they make a split-second decision, and they have to defend their troop, their platoon members, like in this particular case. It's unbelievable. The whole thing is, why would anybody want to sign up and fight for their country under these rules? Now, the president, to his credit, has, with the belief of due process, presumption of innocence, is moving Eddie Gallagher to a less restrictive confinement while he awaits his day in court. He said the process should move quickly, but, in the case of Clinton Lawrence, he's been in jail for 6 freaking years. That's a long time to be in jail. Long time. And he's got 30 years. Great. Appreciate you serving your country. Sorry you made a mistake. Which, by the way, now we have new evidence that came up in this case, biometric evidence, forensic evidence that actually showed the guys on the motorcycles that were approaching the platoon, in fact, had been responsible for, and again, we have fingerprints, we have evidence, we have DNA that prove that they were planting IEDs in the exact same area. Oh, so they really were jihadists, according to the evidence. And of course, now how long does it take somebody to get a new trial? It's unbelievable. Anyway, 800-941-SEAN, you want to be a part of the program. All right, I want to go back, and I want to talk about this issue involving the lieutenant governor of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia. Now, if you remember, we had the incident involving the House of Commons member. Remember the lady that was a butterfly? She's protecting Kathy Tran or something. Right. She said, no, my bill would allow abortions even up to the point of labor when a woman's dilating. When a woman's dilating, that means the baby is coming any minute or hour now. That means it's time for birthday. Going to be the kid's about to be born. Yeah, my bill would allow abortions even at that point. Like, what? And followed up by the idiot governor, along with the Secretary of State, but the governor, in blackface, who didn't get in trouble for that. But I can assure you if it was a Republican, they would have. And that was in the comments about abortion from Governor Northam of Virginia, which is
for mothers in labor. I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother.
Is he done now? There you go. I can't hear it. I'm lost all hearing here. I'm not hearing any of the sound in my ear. Oh, the sound in my ear. Anyway, he himself is a doctor. He's a pediatrician. 800-941-SEAN is the number. Now, then we have the case. So he says that. And then we got the lieutenant governor who they thought was going to replace Northam after these idiotic statements. And in the case of Northam, what do we find out? That, Northam can't be replaced because the lieutenant governor is being accused, of rape in one instance, and in another instance, serious sexual assault. Now, I've been asking the question, well, where are all the Me Too people? Where are all the I Believe people? Where are they all? Are they around anywhere? Because we don't hear a word when it's a Democrat. The only reason you're hearing anything about creepy Uncle Joe Biden is because the people that are critical in that case, well, they're running against them as it relates to the 2020 nomination. So they want to hurt Biden. But the rest of the I believe people, they're nowhere to be found. So the woman that was raped, claiming rape, now we believe in due process. We believe in the presumption of innocence. But we also, believe in it for everybody, and that goes for the lieutenant governor of Virginia. But remember what happened in the Kavanaugh case. In the Kavanaugh case, I believe. Okay. Well, in that particular case, everybody believed. And even the allegation that got so absurd, with one woman claiming, well, almost every other weekend, these kids were spiking the punch for these young girls in high school. And after they spiked the punch, then the girls would pass out, and then they'd line up in the hall, and they'd take their turns gang raping these teenage girls. And it happened almost every other weekend. And then the story evolved into, well, I never really saw Kavanaugh spiking the punch, and he was near the punch bowl. Now, I never really saw him give a woman anything from the punch bowl, but he was holding a red Solo cup. Well, and by the way, two of the women recanted. Nobody seems to ever remember the recanting, because that never gets the play that the allegations make. And then after that, well, he wasn't lined up in the halls, but he definitely was in the hall. And this was a frenzy to Bork or Clarence Thomas, Justice Kavanaugh. Well, okay, so now let me play this woman who's making this allegation against the lieutenant governor of Virginia. Her name is Vanessa Tyson, and I want you to listen to her tell her story. Now, I'll give you a warning. It's hard to listen to. Other facts in this case. Both accusers, one accusing rape, one accusing violent sexual assault, both of them say they told people immediately thereafter. And those people have since corroborated those stories. But if you have kids in the car, you may want to just kind of be careful what they hear here.
We're kissing lying down, and we're kissing, so our heads are level with each other. Mm-hmm. And then it was like my neck didn't work.
What do you mean?
It was like I couldn't feel my neck. I couldn't hold my head up. He's using his hand on the back of my neck. And I still didn't know what was going wrong. I thought there was something wrong with my neck. And he's pushing down, and I couldn't hold my neck up. And I didn't know what was going on. I honestly didn't know what was going on. And then the next thing I know, my head is literally in his crotch. And I'm choking and gagging. And I couldn't say anything because I'm choking and gagging. And so, it continues and he's holding my head. So I can't lift, I'm trying to lift my head, but I can't.
Is he saying anything to you, Vanessa? Nothing.
There's nothing.
And what are you thinking at this moment?
To be honest, I'm in total shock.
Do you say anything to him? No.
I didn't know what to say.
I mean, it's so shocking and so unbelievable. And you know what? I believe in due process. Remember I said it about Michael Avenatti, who, by the way, has since been brought up on these other charges involving, I guess, extortion with Nike. And shockingly, what would Mark Garagos be doing with Avenatti? I never understood that. I actually liked Garagos over the years. We never agreed, but I mean, he's not a dumb lawyer. He's a smart guy. So I don't know what his involvement is or isn't in this particular case. But I said when the allegations came out, there were 3 separate investigations into Avenatti as it related to his, I guess, girlfriend at the time or whatever of some type of violence. Those 3 investigations ended up, all of them, exonerating him. So you got to believe in due process. You got to believe in the presumption of innocence. And I'll do that here in the case of the lieutenant governor. But that's pretty compelling testimony. These are pretty compelling stories. And here's where the problem is. Well, we're consistent and we're saying due process. The silence among the I believers has been deafening. Did they not see the interview? Are they just ignoring the interview? When did this happen? Yesterday? With, I guess, Gayle King on the CBS Morning Show. You know, she does great interviews. I think she does really good interviews. And so this takes place. And I don't hear a word from any of them. Now I've got a montage of the I believers. You know, this is what they were saying back then.
Not only do women like Dr. Ford, who bravely comes forward, need to be heard, but they need to be believed. They need to be believed. I just want to say to the men of this country, just shut up and step up. Do the right thing.
Let me just say right at the outset, I believe Dr. Ford. I believe the survivor here.
I believe her. I stand with her. And
do you hope she shows up on Monday? Do you hope that she testifies?
I don't think she should be bullied into this scenario.
I believe her.
I believe Professor Ford. I think she's credible.
I believe. Well, does anybody believe Vanessa Tyson, who was on the CBS Morning Show with Gayle King? Now, what I did think about the Republicans during that time with Professor Ford and all these allegations, you know, I actually said for the first time the Republicans actually got it right. They showed the proper seriousness of the issue and conducted themselves properly. And, you know, and it got to a point until Lindsey Graham stepped in and that changed the entire narrative debate. And I think one of the best speeches I ever heard in the Senate chamber came from Susan Collins of Maine, who looked at all of the facts in the case. I mean, it was a testament to somebody that just wanted the truth. That's all. Nothing else. And I've been critical of her in the past, and I understand she has to represent her constituents in Maine. She does so very well. That was an incredible moment. But the fact that they've been so smart, why does this guy not get the same treatment? Now, I know we're talking about creepy Uncle Joe and crazy Uncle Joe Biden. I mean, it is creepy.
Crazy, creepy Uncle Joe.
I mean, it really is. And I don't get it. I've had this experience at different times of my people that get in your personal space. I love Scott Shannon. Creepy, crazy Uncle Joe is
Uncle
on.
Joe Biden, the close talker.
I just love Scott. He's amazing. You know, he's got the #1 morning show in New York City. #1, and he has for forever. #1 morning show. His ex-wife, boy, I bet they're regretting that decision, letting him go for 2 seconds.
His work ex-wife.
It would, yeah, that's what I mean. He's married to Trish forever, who's wonderful, and his daughter's wonderful too. Very successful. Hey, listen, I want to remind you, we'll get back to this, the other issues of the day. We got a lot to talk about today. I promise we'll hit it. You know, our friends at Chamonix, they've done it again. And the thing about Chamonix is they use proprietary ingredients, natural peptides, plant stem cell therapy. In other words, you can't get these products in the store. Many have tried to duplicate them. They never get there. And you can only get it at Genucel.com or call 800-SKIN-509. For example, their #1 bestseller is Genucel to get rid of bags and puffiness under your eyes. One of their big bestsellers now is their newly invented jawline cream. And guess what? It makes that double chin disappear. Robin from Texas writes, I put the jawline cream on my neck like 2 or 3 days ago. This is the best my neck has looked in over 20 years. People told me how young I look. I'm blown away. Well, they have pure antioxidant base. It's no parabens, no chemical scents, no pharmaceutical preservatives. It's the clean luxury your skin deserves every day. Now, if you order Genucel to get rid of bags and puffiness, you're going to get the Genucel jawline treatment free. All right? And it also, by the way, they'll give you the Genucel immediate effects if you wake up tired and you go to an important meeting. They'll give you that free, and you'll get free 3-day shipping. But you got to call right now. All right, 800-SKIN-509, 800-SKIN-509, Genucel.com. Quick break.
Like locking the door. Mm-hmm. And you think what?
Oh no, what's about to happen?
Mm-hmm. You became concerned?
Mm-hmm. he did things that you shouldn't do to someone without their permission. And I tried several times to get up and leave and was pushed back down.
And what happened?
He forcibly sexually assaulted and raped me. I was not on the bed initially. There was a couch, and he pulled me over, and I tried several times to get up and was pushed back down, held down.
And you made it clear, this is not what I want.
It was very clear.
Because he is saying this night was consensual.
If you have to hold someone down, it's not consensual.
All right, that was Meredith Watson. That's the other accuser. Forcibly sexually assaulted. Said she was raped in 2000. Lieutenant Governor. I honestly, I know we've been so busy with so many other issues, and I've been watching. And it came up in my mind last night. All right, we're doing creepy. It's so creepy. Crazy Uncle Joe.
Crazy, creepy Uncle Joe.
I don't even know what to say about it. I mean, you know how many people were writing me last night? Like, oh, stop showing those pictures. Well, I got to tell you something. There are many we weren't able to show. Like with young kids grabbing their face and kissing them on the lips. I'm like, I don't get that.
Where's the parents?
Well, you say it on mic.
I did say it on mic.
I don't know.
Where's the parents?
I don't know. I mean, I have met touchy, in your face people my whole life. There's some of them that they don't give you any personal space. Like all of a sudden, they want to talk and they're right up in your grill. And I'm immediately uncomfortable, naturally. And so even if you take a step back, they just move a step in closer. I moved 3 steps back. I start doing a dance moving back so fast and they can't stop. And by the way, and almost 90% of the time they have bad breath.
I was just going to say, why are they so unaware of their breath?
Why are they so unaware of their invasion of someone's personal space? How do you not respect somebody's personal space? I don't get it. Now, and then you got the other side of this, which is, he takes people by the neck and pulls them in and they're like kissing on the lips and he doesn't know these people. Or rubbing the shoulders thing. Hey, stop. Get your hands off me. Am I the only one that feels that way?
Did you see the picture of his wife?
Oh, yeah, that's on Drudge right now.
It's hysterical.
Yeah,
Look, they say they're just affectionate.
Bezos?
That's Jeff Bezos.
Very affectionate
But
people,
an affectionate
apparently.
group of people. They just like to, inappropriately touch one another.
All right, so as we're talking about this, though, and I'll let people make up their own minds on this whole thing, but, and then you think of the crazy Uncle Joe side, and man, you got the first African American. He's articulate, clean. Man, that's storybook. Like, what is wrong with you? I can't believe he got away with that and became the vice president. And, you can't work at a Dunkin' Donuts or a 7-Eleven unless you have
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
You're not the first sort of
listen to this mainstream first
American who was articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook.
Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
And you don't know my state. My state was a slave state. My state is a border state. My state is the 8th largest black population in the country. My state is anything from a northeast liberal state.
Okay, my state's a slave state? And I know he projects this Amtrak image of his, but we're learning a lot more from Peter Schweitzer.
Wait, can I just say a funny story? So I was taking Amtrak because I take it every day, but I was taking it and there was a huge, giant picture of Joe Biden, ginormous picture.
Amtrak Joe. Is that what they're trying to convince you?
Uncle Joe Biden, the close talker.
I don't think I'm alone in this. Let's take a survey of our... Jason, do you like people getting in your grill like that? Or You've had people that try to, kiss you on the lips and you're like moving your face a million different.
Preferably not, although I, unlike you, am not averse to having a massage. Okay.
So a stranger walks up behind you and starts, massaging your soldiers.
Kind of massage,
no,
man.
No. All right. Well, man, that's what crazy, creepy Uncle Joe does.
No, that I wouldn't stand for that.
Kylie, where do you stand on this?
I think it's so creepy. I don't want anybody touching me.
Exactly.
Not at all.
Ethan?
I'm in the same boat as you. Even the massage is freaky to me. Like, no, don't touch me.
All right, Blair, jump in here. Where are you on all of this?
Bring your hands to home.
Bring your hands home? What about or in your grill? I mean, whoa. And 90%, I don't know, I always carry mints with me. Always carry mints,
I say if you had a Tic Tac, go for the shoulders. Get close. Get in for the real thing.
Back up, you creep.
That's right.
Get away
Now, if you
from
didn't
me.
have a Tic Tac, I'm with Hillary. Back it up.
But here's the thing. Do you agree? You've experienced this yourself, right? I don't know.
Without the Tic Tac, it's a nightmare.
What about somebody just, trying to kiss you on the lips? You don't know this person or are very unfamiliar with this person.
I know some people and their colleagues, and they just come over and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" Mwah.
On your lips.
Mwah.
And you have no problem with that.
No, I have a big problem with it. But what are you supposed to do?
What are you supposed to do? I don't know.
Because it comes from a place of like a lot of people.
Adrian.
Listen, I love Rocky. If Rocky wants to kiss me on the lips, by all means, Rocky.
Wow, I'm going to call Sylvester Stallone's brother.
Oh, please do.
All right, or has any guy ever come up behind you and start giving you a neck or back massage?
Yes.
The
worst is when their hands are sweaty.
Oh. So creepy.
Sorry, that's real.
But this is why people said, why are you calling
I was in a real massage where they had to call the police.
What, were they going for a happy ending? What was that?
When I got over on my back, my masseuse was naked.
What?
I turned around and I said, hey, where are your clothes?
That was your response? Hey!
I was so surprised. And he goes, I swear to God, he goes, oh, this is a new type of massage that we're offering here. And I said, I'm pretty sure that this is not new, and I'm pretty sure I don't want any part of it. And I got up and I got out of the room, and they had to call the police. He was taken away.
That's really creepy, freaky. Yeah,
that
I
happened
agree
right
with that.
here on right here in Midtown.
All right, you know what? I don't need strangers touching me. I just don't. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
I don't want any part of you touching any part of me.
No, every night I have to run this stupid wire down the back of my neck. There is a process that everybody must follow.
I've actually witnessed that.
All right, so I put my earpiece in. I put it over my ear myself. I throw it over my back. They are to pull it back and then click it in. Perfect. Then I will pull down the earpiece to the exact level of tension so it won't show on TV. And they put a piece of tape over it. Then I put my jacket on. That's it. Simple. Because other times...
Okay, first of all, that is a complete misrepresentation of what actually happens.
No, that's
you fidget like a little kid waiting in a dentist chair.
I don't want to talk about
You're a
me.
nightmare.
I got a better story. Alec Baldwin is being sued. Baldwin was on with Howard Stern the other day, and apparently they were talking about me. Why is Howard Stern, taking this idiot's side? I don't get it.
Not taking his side.
He took Jimmy Kimmel's side and
he's not taking their side.
Howard Stern actually said, and this guy's brilliant. He's smart. And I couldn't believe he said, well, why would Kimmel ever be in a fight with Hannity? I mean, he's on network. And Hannity probably is dying to be on network. I'm like, Howard, you know Howard better than everybody.
Howard is dying for you to say, you know what, I want to clear the air. I want to come on your show, Stern. I want to talk.
Howard doesn't want to talk to me.
Oh, Sean.
No,
seriously?
No, listen, I don't have no inch. Why? Do you want me to say, what am I going to have to answer the questions? Do you pleasure yourself? Do you this? Do you that? Like, I don't feel like going there. Who cares?
Didn't say what you felt like doing.
What he would never understand is his book, Private Parts, although I do a very different kind of radio than he does. And I think he's smart and entertaining and fun. And, I listen to him on Sirius XM, especially during Christmas. I get to hear all the highlight interviews from the year because I don't listen to radio much at any other part of the year. And I've interviewed him and he on my radio and TV show. And it was fun. I mean, he's a fun, smart guy. But when he said that Hannity's probably dying to be on a network, I'm like, Howard, where you been? We get 2-3 times the ratings of this idiot. And I'm like, you should know that.
Sean.
What?
It's called just stirring things up. creating
Okay.
a little tension.
Yeah, probably
getting
true.
your attention.
And hug me. They'll put their hand on me and go, thank you. They'll put their hand over their mouth like they're going to cry and go, thank
All right,
you for
now,
what you're doing with the
so he
Trump.
has Alec Baldwin on, and I forget what everyone was telling me, and I just didn't feel like listening to it. Anyway, I'm going to call for this. Alec Baldwin is being sued and compared to President Trump by the man that allegedly hit during that parking dispute late last year in New York City. Apparently, he had to go off to some anger management classes in New York, and allegedly went off on a man who parked in a spot. One of the actor's family members was holding him, and Baldwin is holding for him, and Baldwin has since appeared in court where he pled guilty to second-degree harassment, forced to undergo anger management. Yeah, we remember the tapes with his daughter. I remember being in a Twitter fight with Alec Baldwin. His daughter actually, this is when I was on Twitter, which I'm not anymore because we were compromised apparently in Twitter. Anyway, his daughter wrote me directly, please stop fighting with my dad. I said, okay. I stopped. I'm like, well, why don't you ask your dad? I mean, she seemed like a nice kid. I don't want to bring kids into this. I just leave them alone. So anyway, long story short, now he's being sued. And he slams. Now, Baldwin has a horrific temper. Cameramen, fights in people's faces with cameras all up, paparazzi. All I has to say is hello and walk by. Leave the guy, I don't know why he's being so hostile. And then one day he's trying to fill in on radio. Me and Mark Levin tag team him. He got so angry he walked off the show. He was hosting. Brian Whitman was assisting in the hosting. Yeah, well, we have that, but we're not going to do that now. But then, so he still wants to do talk radio. So he goes to our affiliate in Philly, PHT. I mean, that was at our ex-wife in New York radio station, WABC. We're now on the all-new AM 710 WOR. Anyway, so what's funny about it is he's practicing he really was doing a talk show. None of this is fake. This is Alec Baldwin auditioning to be a talk radio host in Philly.
When we come back, we got some time. Oh, great. We're going to, when can we take some calls, Ivan?
Whenever we want.
Do we have calls that are on there now?
No calls yet. No calls yet.
What number do people call to get on the air, Ivan? Do we have that number?
It's right there.
Oh, do I have the call number in front of me? Oh, I'm so sorry. That's interesting. At 1210 at PHT. Of course, any other questions you have, any other comments you have, call us to the... What else? Call us, please, at 215-1210. Now, if you don't call, we're going to keep reading from the Scientology manual. You might not feel it. You might not feel the energy right now. You might not feel the swell of what's happening here. Do we have any calls yet there, Ivan? No calls. Let's read some more about Scientology. Is Sean Hannity a Scientologist? Alec Baldwin posing the big questions tonight here. Do we have any calls here yet, Ivan? None. Boy, it's just incredible. Unbelievable. Well, you leave us no choice, listeners.
And then he ended up calling his mother because nobody would call his show. It was so amazing. That was the best tape I ever heard. This is when he was trying out in New York on WABC, walked off the show and walked out.
Sean Hannity?
Is that Brian Whitman?
Hi, Sean.
Alec, I wanted to give you an official WABC welcome, considering you were supposed to come on my program last week, and you didn't show up. What happened?
No, I wasn't supposed to come on your program, Sean Hannity.
You were supposed to come on the program, because a deal was made with your agent that if you were going to come on with Brian, first you'd come on with me.
I wouldn't dream of coming on your program, Sean Hannity. I'm here with Brian. I'm here with a really talented...
You don't tell the truth.
I'm here with a really talented broadcaster. Why would I want to come on the show with a no-talent former construction worker hack like you?
Are you the guy that said that?
All right, stop right there. He apparently said the same thing. I'm really proud that I did all that work in construction for all those years.
Clearly, he doesn't like hard work.
I'm proud that I was washing dishes at 12 and did every job in a restaurant for 10 years. It's the roots of who I am. I'm proud of all of that.
He's got a much harder job reading lines off a teleprompter.
So it ends like this. Levin calls in right after, and can you move it forward a little bit because we're running out of time?
We can't actually move it forward, but we'll play it on the other side of this break just for fun.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We will come back. 800-941-SEAN, toll-free telephone number. First, I want to remind you, Linda, did you ever get rid of your timeshare?
I'm working on it.
Well, this is stupid now. I mean, Lynn, you
think the
know
audience
Brian and
understands.
Karen, LoneStarTransfer.com. Now, let me give you a letter that I got. Dear Sean Hannity, just wanted to let you know I finally have been released from my timeshare contract, and it's frustrating to spend so much money buying into a timeshare and then getting nothing for it. It's refreshing to know that there is at least one company out there that can help us. If you have a timeshare you want to get out of, you're paying all that money. And like Linda, how many times have you been back in 20 years?
Once.
Yeah, once. And how much you pay a year?
Too much.
Too much. All right, Lone Star Transfer, 99% success rate. They do it legally. They do it swiftly. A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Look, LoneStarTransfer.com on the web, or take out your cell phone, look for Brian and Karen, and just call pound 250 keyword timeshare. Pound 250 keyword timeshare, or go online, LoneStarTransfer.com, and guess what? You're going to be saving money every year.
Sean Hannity.
Come on now, who is this?
Oh, that's the bloviator.
You're 40 or 50 pounds overweight. I just told you, you got a 2-digit IQ. He's gonna prove
And
it.
who's that? Who's your little cabin boy there? Cabin boy. You are Sean Hannity's cabin
you know
boy.
what?
Can I get you, Alec, to... You have nothing to say to him.
Well, can I talk to Alec Ballas or no?
We're going to end this right
Why
now.
is your wife so pissed off at you anyway?
And he quit right there.
Hi, I'm Raymond Denon, Vice President of Optima Tax Relief. If you're in debt to the IRS, there's a lot you need to know. Starting with rule number 1, don't mess with the IRS. They can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts, even take your home or business. That's all true. But it's also true that there's a way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. It's one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, even tens of thousands. Nobody knows this program like us, the experts at Optima Tax Relief. We have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and we've resolved over $500 million in tax debt for our clients. We'll stand between you and the IRS and fight to get you the best deal possible. Don't mess with the IRS. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima for a free consultation.
Call 800-611-8892. 800-611-8892. 800-611-8892.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You're probably already aware of Noble Gold Silver 2020 President Trump Freedom Coin. One side magnificently depicts
Your hoax is finally dead.
And so if there are questions that haven't been answered in the hours and hours and hours of testimony I've given, of course I'll answer them. I want it all done in the light of day, though.
And we're here, and people are more concerned about helping oil companies than helping their own families? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Freedom is back in style. Welcome to the revolution.
Yeah, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country.
This story out there. If I didn't speak out loud, probably, no one would have ever understood that Stefan Halper was an informant trying to spy on the Trump campaign. He brought me to London to meet with him. And the same day that I met with Stefan Halper, where he was part of an operation against me, the British Ministry of Foreign Affairs invited me to basically speak to me as well. So when I explained that the British and the Australians were working hand in hand with the Obama administration to spy on members of the Trump campaign, you'll see in my book, at the height of the FISA abuse scandal around the summer of 2016 and the fall of 2016, the British government was actively seeking me out to question me and to spy on me. And people tell me that, what months was this happening? And I said it all happened around the time that Stefan Halper reached out. It's so important that the statement that President Trump made a couple days ago on the Hannity show regarding declassifying materials is so important, and it's going to shock so many people, because what's going to be revealed in that declassification is going to show that no one with the Trump campaign was in a conspiracy or conspiring with the Russians, but we were essentially all targeted by what we thought were allies of the United States.
Yeah.
And a couple months ago, when President Trump was openly discussing declassifying materials, there were 2 U.S. allies that called him and said, please do not declassify anything. And no one knew who those allies were until a little later, and we figured out it was both the UK and Australia. So they're involved. They were spying. They were actively trying to undermine the campaign by, bringing people like Alexander Downer and Stefan Halper to interact with the campaign. And I think that's what the declassified materials are going to show. And obviously my congressional testimony that's now public is quite clear that people like Congressman Mark Meadows and others who are privy to these materials also understand that that's what's in that classified material.
And that there will be counter investigations, sort of accounting for this hoax that exonerated him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. To investigate perhaps you, perhaps others. Do you fear that? Do you think that's coming down the pike?
I don't fear it personally. I fear it as a citizen, right? Investigate what? Investigate that investigations were conducted, and what would be the crime you'd be investigating? So it's a terrible cycle to start. He's already started it with calling for the locking up of his political opponents, including people like me. And so it would just be more of that dangerous step. And I would hope, although they continue to disappoint me, the Republicans would finally stand up and say, we don't do that kind of thing. But me personally, ask me questions. Go ahead. I'd like to answer them in the daylight if I could.
It's amazing, by the way, that James Comey cut. Same guy that said he could be fired for any reason or no reason at all. Now saying maybe it was because Trump was obstructing. And he doesn't understand at all the Mueller report. George Papadopoulos tapped into something really, really important here. And when he started going off and explaining, and yes, the president did say on my TV show last week that a lot of this information, the FISA warrant applications, the Gang of Eight information, the 302 information, and other information is going to come cascading down on Democrats. We have the new dump by Congressman Doug Collins today as it relates to the FBI guy, Bill, what's his name? Priebus. And the things that he said. Anyway, George Papadopoulos. Sorry, that's a horrible thing to say. And his wife, Simona, are with us. Deep State Target, how I got caught in the crosshairs of the plot to bring down President Trump. By the way, it's up on hannity.com, amazon.com, bookstores everywhere. How are you guys? Good to talk to you again. Thanks for coming back.
Oh, thanks so much for having us, Sean. It's a real honor.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thanks again for being there with you.
Let me ask you this. When you're saying that this classified material, because my sources have been telling me a long time that because our intelligence community actually has laws and rules they've got to follow, sometimes they kind of farm out to other intelligence agencies work that maybe they themselves cannot do, which would hence result in resistance of even allies like Great Britain and Australia, great allies of the U.S., from wanting that information out because it would show maybe they were doing things at the request of our intelligence community that they shouldn't be asking them to do, George?
Sean, that's exactly what happened. And there's only one person on this planet that was interacting with both the British and the Australians to the point, and I want to make it clear, that the British government, when Donald Trump was elected president, ended up sending me the letter of congratulations from Theresa May for me to pass along to Donald Trump. And I ended up passing it along to Steve Bannon. I'm sure Steve Bannon passed it along to President Trump at the time. So I was the one in these meetings with the Australians and the British. I don't think anybody else in the campaign, except a couple others, were dealing with people like Stefan Halper. But I saw with my own eyes, and I was so suspicious of these meetings I was having, which, you, as a foreign policy person, you're supposed to be meeting with U.S. allies, but you don't expect them to be spying on you and trying to sabotage you in the campaign you're working with simultaneously. So this guy, Alexander Downer, we could get into him in a little bit, but I just want to make it clear that his behavior was so disturbing, and this is the Australian diplomat, that I foolishly reported him to Bob Mueller and the FBI because I thought that he was spying on me, and I thought he was trying to undermine me in the campaign. So even before that New York Times story came out about drinking or whatever that nonsense was, I reported this guy to the FBI. So there's a lot more to the story regarding U.S. allies and them and the Obama administration farming out, surveillance tactics to them that I really want to clarify.
Well, I want you to go a little deeper. When you say that, look, I got to be honest. When it comes to our intelligence community, we need them so desperately, which is why we give them these powerful tools to protect us. I have no problem with them spying on all of our enemies and, if need be, even our allies. But it's when the powerful tools of intelligence then get used against and turned on the American people, which I believe happened here. That's a problem. And if they're farming out that aspect of intelligence gathering, not to protect us, but for political reasons, I have the big problem with that. That's why I call it an abuse of power. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely. Look, here's where it gets even more disturbing. I'm a man who, to this day, has never met a Russian official in my entire life, let alone on the Trump campaign and transition. Okay, so
by the way, people have said, well, that your wonderful wife Simona, who I've gotten to know both of you so well, they always thought she was from Russia. She's not.
Exactly. I was this morning on Russia Today, and I made a point that there is nothing Russian about me, and this is the proof how much they fabricate everything, up to the point that he married a Russian Italian woman.
All right. So you grew up in Italy.
Yes, I'm Italian. I grew up in the south of Italy, and I have part of my family is in Switzerland, which is nothing to do with Russia, by the way. Mm-hmm. So I'm full Italian. People question my accent, my look. I always says I don't know how my accent sounds, but definitely no Russian national ever told me.
No, I think it's hilarious.
It is crazy, and it resulted also in a death threat for me. Many people over these months telling me you have to die, you're a Russian agent, get out of the United States. Yes. I mean, there are many bad aspects of this fake propaganda. People haters using this against me all the time in a very violent way. So in the beginning it was a joke, but honestly it's not. And I blame also my country. Why nobody came out saying she's Italian?
Well, listen, I feel for you. I really do. And I think it's very hard when, both of you have gone through all that you've gone through. And, George, as I've gotten to know you and Simona, I just realized that you are a victim in all of this. And the title of your book is absolutely correct. You were a target and you end up spending 12 days in jail. Thank God it went quickly and it wasn't terrible. But I find that a lot of innocent people in this now have been targeted at a very high level. And what part of this I know some people did not understand what I meant early on by the deep state when I was talking about the deep state. But why don't you say in your words what the deep state is, what you experienced?
Absolutely, and this is the perfect platform to do that. So I'm going to go step by step here because it's very important for people to understand how in depth the deep state went to go after me and others on the campaign. There's this person named Joseph Mifsud, who's the professor who was at the epicenter of the fake Russia collusion story that got everyone involved in it for the last 3 years. This was a man who told me in London, out of the blue, that the Russians possessed thousands of Hillary Clinton's emails, okay? And then later on, Bob Mueller told the world that this was a Russian asset and a Russian intermediary offering to sabotage Clinton, okay? That was the fake story that Bob Mueller and the FBI and the intelligence agencies propagated to the world in order to make people like myself, the campaign, and President Trump look bad. Now, here's the reality. And this is just so the listeners understand how incredible the PSYOP was that was used by the intelligence community, probably in tandem with the media, to get that fake story out. The reality is this person, Joseph Mifsud, who told me that the Russians have emails, was introduced to me by a woman named Arvinder Sambe, who was the FBI's legal attaché in London. And this woman also has a personal working relationship with Bob Mueller dating back to 9/11. So I meet him after she encourages me to meet with this person in Rome at a place named Link Campus. David Ignatius of the Washington Post has written an incredible article about this place. Link Campus is a spy training school for the CIA and the FBI. So I hope you're getting my drift here. So the guy who tells me that the Russians have thousands of Hillary Clinton's emails is introduced to me by an FBI intermediary, and all of his contacts, publicly and privately, are to Western intelligence organizations, including the CIA, the FBI, and the British government. So this person tells me this information, and then a week after he tells me this information, I have Alexander Downer, the Australian diplomat, spying on me to see if I would make any off-the-cuff remark regarding what he had told me. And that's what I think Congressman Mark Meadows was referencing a couple weeks ago when he stated that ambassadors were conspiring with the FBI and Western intelligence groups to hurt Donald Trump in the campaign. So this is the entire story. The entire Russia collusion narrative and the foundation of it not only was corrupt, but it was completely fabricated and pre-planned by the Obama administration. And that's why I have been so vocal in, trying to get the story out there, because I think the president and his administration really needs to talk to the Australians, the British, and even the Italians and find out what their exact role was in creating this, fake op that was targeted at not only myself but others in the campaign.
See, I got to take a break here. We'll come back and we'll continue. George Papadopoulos, his wife Simona, with us. Deep state target: how I got caught in the crosshairs of the plot to bring down President Trump. I've heard this from numerous sources that these countries are scared to death at what the president may declassify. Amazon.com, Hannity.com, bookstores everywhere. It is a fascinating read. And hey, by the way, my friends at MyPillow have done it again. First, it's the MyPillow, which helps you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer. Then they come up with the MyPillow mattress topper. I mean, it's like floating on a cloud. Now they've got MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Now, this is made from the world's best cotton. Giza, that's the only grown in one region, a small region where the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, Nile River all meet to create what are the ideal weather conditions for growing cotton. Ultra soft, breathable, but also extremely durable. These Giza sheets are available in a variety of colors. They come with Mike's 10-year warranty, 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee, and I can tell you firsthand, you're going to want to take these on vacation when you go. I don't care if you're flying overseas.
I love them, seriously. I absolutely love them. They're amazing.
The difference is dramatic. And when you put the three of them together, the MyPillow mattress topper, MyPillow, and now the bed sheets.
The Giza sheets are dream worthy.
All right, right now you get 30% off. Just go to MyPillow.com. Promo code Hannity, 800-919-6090. MyPillow.com, promo code Hannity, 800-919-6090. Quick break, right back. We'll continue. Papadopoulos, his wife Simona, with us. Their best-selling book, Deep State Target, How I Got Caught in the Crosshairs of the Plot to Bring Down President Trump. What is it? I've been reading a lot of what you've been saying in your interviews, and you really feel, both of you, that this is your patriotic duty to actually expose how the Obama administration, everyone seems to forget, it was the Obama administration. And this happened under their watch. Most people seem to forget that, George.
Look, and if they do forget it, that's exactly why I'm screaming from the rooftops, trying to remind everyone that exactly what you just stated, that the Obama administration was the ringleader behind that entire operation to try and bring candidate and President Trump down.
Yeah. And Simona, you're going through all of this with him. Is he telling you some of these thoughts at different times that he thinks this doesn't feel right? You know, be it the London professor or Downer or Stefan Halper or any of these people?
Well, I could witness personally one of these characters, which is Professor Mifsud. I used to work for in London. And I witnessed it many times, both with the FBI, the Congress, the Senate, and also to the media, that this man has ties to Western intelligence, is likely to be an Italian asset. So seeing this mischaracterization of the entire investigation, and George in the center of that, because he met this allegedly Russian spy that I know for sure not being a Russian spy, I felt it was my duty to the truth and my loyalty to my man to put the truth out.
All right, if you guys can hang on just a couple more minutes longer, I know we're going to let you go. We put it up on our website, Deep State Target, how I got caught in the crosshairs of the plot to bring down President Trump. George Papadopoulos, his wife Simona, also play the rest of that Alec Baldwin, Hannity, Levin tape. They were all begging me. I'll get to it.
All afternoon. When you get off work, be sure to check in first for everything you missed during the day. This is the Sean Hannity Show.
All right, 25 till the top of the hour, 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. And thanks for staying over. We continue a little bit longer here with George Papadopoulos, his wife Simona. I know you're asking me to play more of the Alec Baldwin, Hannity, Levin tape, so we'll get to that in a minute. Now, because Alec is getting sued. Anyway, their book is really important. It's called Deep State Target, how he got caught in the crosshairs of the plot to bring down President Trump. And I want to get to this point, which I think is very key. And I want to make the usual, I want to delineate between rank and file, FBI field agents and special agents and people that literally, put their lives on the line and protect us every single day. That's the 99%. And unfortunately, we're talking about a few abusing power at the highest levels. But you really believe it was the FBI setup. Now, I want to just give a little foundation here. We know from the testimony that came out that all of these top FBI individuals, we know that all of them were made aware of the fact that this dossier was tainted, that this dossier was not verified, that this dossier was Hillary Clinton bought and paid for, but then they ended up using it, and James Comey signing the first one in October of 2016, and then telling Trump in January of 2017 as president-elect at Trump Tower that, I have no idea, it's not verified, but it's salacious. So he lied once or the other, and I know this guy, he doesn't really understand his need to remain silent at this point. But anyway, and the Democrats now demanding that Attorney General Barr testify about the Mueller report. Now, interesting, Gerald Nadler was opposed to the release of the Starr report. Not that would matter, anything type of consistency. Bill Priestap, this is news and information from Doug Collins today, a senior member of the FBI's counterintelligence team. He was worried about Strzok and Page having been compromised by a foreign adversary because of their affair. And anyway, we learned that and more thanks to Doug Collins. There's going to be a lot more information cascading down. They want to bring everybody back. By the way, if they call you back to testify again, will you go?
Sean. So I've been invited to testify in front of the Senate Intel Committee later this month, and I plan on going. And, I think it's going to be a very interesting testimony because it's post-Mueller report. Obviously, the world knows now that I had nothing to do with Russia, neither did anyone on the Trump campaign or even the president himself. But what's the most interesting thing, back to your... Well,
let me ask you a question. If you're going to testify under oath and you say one thing that is inconsistent with maybe previous testimony, you do know that they get to decide whether you committed perjury, lied to Congress, even though it could be the most innocent thing ever. I don't know.
That's
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, that it's part of that, but I want to make sure that the truth is out there, and also I really want to make it clear, because this is probably the most disturbing part of my story and probably part of the 2016 campaign. What my actual case was really all about was Bob Mueller and Jim Comey actually spying on me for my ties to Israel. This is like new information that I've just been releasing now, and it came out in my congressional testimony. But they were going to hit me with a FARA charge. I think I was going to be the first person in history to be charged with working as an unregistered agent of the State of Israel. And that, I just want to make it clear, that's the extent that these people wanted to go to nail me and to make me basically lie to them, to do everything in their power to undermine Trump with my case. Of course, I never lied. I didn't undermine President Trump. I landed in jail for 12 days for it, but I wouldn't change a thing. And it goes to the same thing.
Why would you allow yourself? I'm very serious here. You've already given your testimony.
Yeah.
You know, why would you allow yourself to go under oath and knowing that they are the ones that would decide? Now, we're going to have criminal referrals from Devin Nunes this week. Why would you put yourself in a position where if you're under oath, I wouldn't testify without immunity in your case, and I would insist on it. And if you don't get it, don't do it.
It looks like that's what my lawyers are asking for. I have a great new legal team, and that's what they're asking for. And quite frankly, I agree with you. And if I don't get it, we're probably not going to do it. But I was currently...
Well, let me check with Simona here, because she went to visit you all 12 days when you were in jail. Simona, whose side are you on, mine or his?
I'm on your side.
Thank
I don't
you.
wanna do that again.
No, you can't do it. And let me tell you, you've already testified to everybody. How many hours did you testify total between, Mueller and everybody else?
Probably about 30 hours. You know what? I'm going on the record. I'm not going to testify to the Senate. That's it. I'm going to make sure that my lawyers take care of that. But you're absolutely right. At this point, I've testified for over 30 hours. My testimony to Congress, to the Oversight Committee, has been released. That's the story, and you're absolutely right. At this point, there could be trouble. So, I agree.
I start to feel scared now because I testified to Congress and Senate already. So.
No, let me tell you something, and they let them hold you in contempt. You've given 30 hours of testimony, and I would call Professor Alan Dershowitz, because he gave some case history last night on my TV show about how it was, I guess, either the McCarthy hearings or the Watergate, I don't remember which one he was referring to, that there comes a point where this is harassment. All these people being brought back to testify and ask the same questions over and over again. Yeah. A, it becomes a perjury trap if you misremember something. And B, these people can't afford these attorneys. Yeah. It's so expensive.
Totally true.
All right.
And Simona's a lawyer, and she's been advising me very well, and she agrees with what you just stated. So
yes,
I think we're all on the same page.
No, by the way, I would recommend anyone else that testifies. Tell them, no way, I'm pleading the fifth.
And Sean, they arrested me too. I've been there twice already, and they keep wanting me to say the same thing over and over about Mifsud, but they never release my
And if you ever say it differently the second time, boy, they get to decide, criminal referral, here we go. And then then more years of your life is ruined because of these idiots. All right, last question. Yeah. How was the FBI, as you've been saying, meaning the upper echelon, how is this a setup by them?
This was a setup by the upper echelons of the FBI because based on the simple fact that the man at the center of the entire Russia fake conspiracy, the professor, who told me in London that the Russians had thousands of Hillary Clinton's emails, this guy was introduced to me by an FBI legal attaché in the UK named Arvinder Sambe, who had a direct relationship to Mueller after 9/11. And I have just found out recently that the same lady who introduced me to this person who created this, chaotic situation we found ourselves in the last 3 years, she also was introducing the equivalent of the Deputy Attorney General of the UK to Bruce Orr at that infamous dinner of the Orrs 4 days before the Trump Tower setup meeting that also we later found out was orchestrated. So this entire thing was a pre-planned, orchestrated event. No one on the Trump campaign was even meeting with Russians, let alone conspiring with Russians. But it was assets of the FBI and people that were led and directed from the FBI to make contact with various members of the Trump campaign were doing it for the sole reason to make it seem that people were working with Russia when we had nothing to do with it. So somebody was taking orders, and those orders came from the top of the FBI under Obama. That's what I mean by that.
We're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to hold them all accountable, and you're helping us. George Papadopoulos, Simona, thank you. Deep State Target, How I Got Caught in the Crosshairs of the Plot to Bring Down President Trump. And it's on hannity.com, amazon.com, bookstores everywhere. Guys, thank you so much for being with us, and we wish you both the very, very best of luck. And listen, don't trust any of these people. I don't trust any of them. These members of Congress are on a witch hunt that they'll never stop.
That's a great point, Sean, and thanks so much for having us. You've been a tremendous friend and a great person, and I'm glad you're on our side. Thank you.
Thank you so
I appreciate
much,
you telling your story, both of you, and I wish you, as time goes on, that you move on from this, have a great life as you deserve. All right, let's go back. Are you busy in there? Oh, I'm sorry. You distracting my producer? All right, so everyone is writing me, play more of the Alec Baldwin stuff. All right, here's what we're going to play. Play a little bit, I guess, play cut 20, where Alec Baldwin is attacking me and Levin on Stern Show. Play that.
Sean Hannity, who lacks self-awareness on any level. He's got zero self-awareness.
Zero. Have you ever had a discussion with him? Have you done?
No. Why would I waste my time doing this? And that Mark, what's his name, Levin?
Mark Levin.
Oh, is it Levin? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You know Mark Levin.
You know how that goes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's very smart.
Right.
Levin is an idiot. Hannity is an idiot. These guys have no talent. They've got no talent.
And it's troublesome.
They're horrible. They're horrible broadcasters. Levin is a black belt idiot. The things he says are just not interesting.
Horrible broadcasters. Well, now, just to remind you, this is the first time Alec Baldwin wanted to be a radio talk show host. At the time, we had a program director at my former station in New York. Proud of my new station, WOR. I still have friends over there, a lot of friends. And Levin included. Anyway, so the deal was that he was going to come on my radio show. And then we were going to let him try out on a Sunday night. And Brian Whitman, who's a broadcaster, used to be on our New York station, but is now in Los Angeles.
Horrible. They're horrible broadcasters. Levin is a black belt idiot. The things he says are just not interesting.
Horrible broadcasters. Well, now, just to remind you, this is the first time Alec Baldwin wanted to be a radio talk show host. At the time, we had a program director at my former station in New York. Proud of my new station, WOR. I still have friends over there, a lot of friends. And Levin included. Anyway, so the deal was that he was going to come on my radio show. And then we were going to let him try out on a Sunday night. And Brian Whitman, who's a broadcaster, used to be on our New York station, but is now in Los Angeles doing really, really well. Very funny guy. We don't agree politically, but I love him a lot. He's a great guy. Anyway, he was sort of like helping Alec, first time hosting. And anyway, I called in. I'll just play a little bit of that part again.
Sean Hannity?
Is that Brian Whitman?
Hi, Sean.
Alec, I wanted to give you an official WABC welcome, considering you were supposed to come on my program last week, and you didn't show up. What happened?
No, I wasn't supposed to come on your program, Sean Hannity.
You were supposed to come on the program, because a deal was made with your agent that if you were going to come on with Brian, first you'd come on with me.
I wouldn't dream of coming on your program, Sean Hannity. I'm here with Brian. I'm here with a really talented...
You don't tell the truth.
I'm here with a really talented broadcaster. Why would I want to come on the show with a no-talent former construction worker hack like you?
All right, then he goes on attacking what I did for a living, which I'm proud of. Anyway, Mark Levin calls in. One big happy family. And, well, let's just say Alec, who was guest hosting, decided to leave the studio after this.
Are you 40 or 50 pounds overweight now?
Oh, come on now. Who is this?
Oh, that's the bloviator.
You're 40 or 50 pounds overweight. I just told you got a 2-digit IQ.
And who's that? Who's your little cabin boy there with you?
Not a cabin boy.
You are Sean Hannity's cabin boy.
You know what?
You have nothing to say to him.
Well, can I talk to Alec Baldwin or no?
We're going to end this right now.
Why is your wife so pissed off at you anyway?
No, please don't leave. I beg of you.
I'll take my headphones off. You go ahead.
Take your headphones off. I beg of you not to leave.
I'm off the air now, folks. Thank you very much.
No, stay right there.
We're going to be back with the
stay right there.
With the no talent and
no,
Kevin
come on now,
Boy
come on.
You are a no talent, ignorant fool from Long Island. You should go back to building houses out in Hempstead.
Show host begging for a job. Good luck.
Okay, listen, Sean.
All right, Sean's hanging up.
To debate.
I'll hang up too. He's Mr. Tough Guy.
Come back. Alec, come back. They're gone. Alec has walked out of the studio. Alec, please come back. He is in the other room. Alec Baldwin has put on his jacket, and he has left. I just went into the station lobby to the elevator bank to see if I could find Alec Baldwin and ask him to please return to the radio show, but he is gone.
He left. He walked out. So he wasn't done trying out for talk radio. Then he went to Philly. And this is him on radio. By the way, he's saying, oh, these guys are horrible. Okay, listen to you're right, Alec. I can't duplicate this. This is the best radio I've ever heard in my life. This is Alec Baldwin hosting.
We have some time. Oh, great. We're going to... when can we take some calls, Ivan?
Whenever we want.
Do we have calls that are on there now?
No calls yet. No calls yet.
What number do people call to get on the air, Ivan? Do we have that number?
It's right there.
Oh, do I have the call number in front of me? Oh, I'm so sorry. That's interesting. At 12:10 at PHT. Of course, any other questions you have, any other comments you have, call us to the... what else? Call us, please, at 215-1210. Now, if you don't call, we're going to keep reading from the Scientology manual. You might not feel it. You might not feel the energy right now. You might not feel the swell of what's happening here. Do we have any calls yet there, Ivan? No calls. Let's read some more about Scientology. Is Sean Hannity a Scientologist? Alec Baldwin posing the big questions tonight here. Do we have any calls here yet, Ivan? None. Boy, it's just incredible. Unbelievable. Well, you leave us no choice, listeners.
That was real. He got no calls and had to call his mother. It's the greatest tape in talk radio history. I could play him calling his, 14, 15-year-old daughter a rude, thoughtless little pig. But you know what? You know what my problem is? I'm not mean enough to do it anymore. I just don't have the heart to do it to the kid. Anyway, that's him. Talk show host of the year, Alec. Who's failed TV he was on MSNBC. That show tanked. His show on NBC, I guess it was, tanked. ABC. What was the show called? Does anybody remember? Who knows? It lasted like 3 weeks and nobody would watch it. I mean, it had lower numbers than even fake news CNN. You know, this now he's being sued and he has to go to anger management classes. He's nuts. Hey, listen, I want to tell you about Car Shield. I have it. You have a car, 5,000 miles, 150,000 miles. You want to be safe on the highway. When it comes to costly car repairs, protect yourself. The extended vehicle protection from Car Shield. You know what? Gives you peace of mind if you ever have that big, repair that you're going to have to pay. Car Shield will process the fixing of your car. You choose your favorite mechanic or dealership. It's your choice. 24/7 roadside assistance and a rental car while yours is being fixed for free. If your car has even up to 150,000 miles on it, doesn't matter. You don't have to pay those bills. Car Shield, by the way, has already paid out close to $2 billion in claims. The real deal. So you'll save thousands in future car repairs. Have peace of mind. 800-CAR-6000. Mention my name, Hannity. You save 10%. 800-CAR-6000 or carshield.com. Promo code Hannity.
Sean Hannity.
The Russia hoax is finally dead.
And so if there are questions that haven't been answered in the hours and hours and hours of testimony I've given, of course I'll answer them. I want it all done in the light of day, though.
And we're here, and people are more concerned about helping oil companies than helping their own families? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Freedom is back in style. Welcome to the revolution.
Yeah, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our game.
our final news roundup and information overload hour.
No exception. There was a very contentious committee hearing yesterday when Fairfax County Delegate Kathy Tran made her case for lifting restrictions on third trimester abortions, as well as other restrictions now in place. And she was pressed by a Republican delegate about whether her bill would permit an abortion even as a woman is essentially dilating, ready to give birth. And she answered that it would permit an abortion at that stage of labor. Do you support her measure and explain her answer?
Yeah, and I wasn't there, Julie, and I certainly can't speak for Delegate Tran, but I would tell you, first thing I would say, this is why decisions such as this should be made by providers, physicians, and the mothers and fathers that are involved. There are, when we talk about third trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians, more than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities, there may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered, the infant would be kept comfortable, the infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired, and then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion. But again, we want the government not to be involved in these types of decisions. We want the decision to be made by the mothers and their providers. And this is why, Julie, that legislators, most of whom are men, by the way, shouldn't be telling a woman what she should and shouldn't be doing with her body.
And do you think multiple physicians should have to weigh in, as is currently required? She's trying to lift that requirement.
Well, I think it's always good to get a second opinion, and for at least two providers to be involved in that decision, because these decisions shouldn't be taken lightly. And so, I would certainly support more than one provider.
Right now, women are able to access an abortion in the later stages of pregnancy under certain conditions with the approval of medical doctors. I've done nothing to change that.
How late in the third trimester could a physician perform an abortion if he indicated it would impair the mental health of the woman?
Or physical health.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm talking about the mental health.
So, through the third trimester. The third trimester goes all the way up to 40 weeks.
Okay. But to the end of the third trimester.
Yep. I don't think we have a limit in the bill.
So, where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth, she has physical signs that she is about to give a birth, would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating.
Mr. Chairman, that would be a decision that the doctor, the physician, and the woman would make.
I understand that. I'm asking if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
Last year, House Delegates member Kathy Tran proposed a late third term trimester abortion bill. You've heard the whole flack over it. Basically, you can terminate the child as they're coming through the birth canal. In fact, your successor, Governor Northam, said even after it's born, it would be up to the parents, resuscitate it, make it comfortable, and then maybe terminate it, execute it, whatever the word is. That created a firestorm. If you were governor, would you have vetoed that bill if it hit your desk?
The bill I believe it was, Virginia law currently requires, that before a woman can end a third trimester pregnancy, she must get 3 separate doctors to evaluate the pregnancy and really certify that it's necessary. This was a common sense bill that, in the sense, you go from 3 to 1 to help people in rural communities. It's very rarely, as I say, twice in 19 years, but unfortunately it became political.
Governor, would you have vetoed the bill, yes or no?
I would not have vetoed that bill.
I would not have vetoed that bill. Now, wait, we got to go back. We just heard this woman who introduced the bill. By the way, on the same day she introduced the bill to protect these butterflies that aren't called butterflies, whatever they were called, Kathy Tran, House of Commons. Remember, she was asked specifically, what about during the dilation process? In other words, that is the birthing process. The cankerworm, which she first, she introduces it the same friggin' day. protect the worm that becomes some type of offshoot of a butterfly. And then she said, well, yeah, I would. What if a woman's in labor? What if she's dilating? Yeah, I'd support abortion under those conditions. Yes, this bill would allow that. And then Governor Northam, well, I could tell you exactly what we're going to do. We're going to, well, first we'll deliver the baby and make sure the baby's comfortable. So compassionate. And then the mother will decide whether or not we resuscitate the baby or give the baby, medical care or not. And then we'll have a discussion with the doctor after. And then all these states and, it's unbelievable. And it resulted in us having an abortion survivor on this program who's living a happy, productive life. I don't know why Democrats have latched onto this. Imagine if somebody wanted to do this to a kitten being born or a puppy being born. Think of Animal Rights Act. Where are they in all of this? Well, anyway, that was Terry McAuliffe's answer. He's thinking about getting into this 2020 race. House Minority Whip Steve Scalise is here. He's filing a discharge petition on the Born Alive Protection Act. And if he gets enough signatures today, it will force an anti-infanticide vote on the House floor. Good. Let's put all these people on record. You can't let evil continue like this. These are fully formed babies. This is not about abortion, even. If you allow infanticide. Anyway, House Republican Whip Steve Scalise is with us. How are you?
Hey, doing well, Sean. Great to be back with you, and thank you for highlighting just how barbaric this process is, the procedure of murdering a baby when it's born alive, and what we're doing to stop it.
Okay, so you need, though, I assume you're going to get every Republican, right?
Yeah, by the way, we just started collecting signatures. We've already exceeded 125 signatures. There was a line literally out the door of the House chamber today during the 1:30 vote series, and we're still collecting signatures, and my goal is to be well over 150 by the end of today, and to get every Republican to sign, and then to start getting some Democrats to sign, and frankly, Sean, to engage people all around the country who, when I talk to people about it, it's not a question of whether or not to support it. People are shocked, Sean, that it's legal in America to murder a baby after it's been born alive outside the womb. It literally transcends the abortion debate because there are pro-choice people that think it's wrong to kill the baby after it's born alive, and yet there are no legal protections. Some states have protections, but clearly, as you saw in New York, in Virginia, in other states, they're allowing it to happen or moving to try to legalize it. We need to stand up and say, all innocent life is precious, but those most vulnerable are the ones that need the protections the most, and this Born Alive bill, it's Ann Wagner's bill from Missouri, but my discharge petition that I signed today would go around Pelosi, who refuses to let us have a vote. It literally would bypass Pelosi and force a debate and vote on the House floor.
All right, so you need 21 Democrats. Have you gotten any yet?
I have talked to a few Democrats who are supportive of what the legislation does. There's a lot of pressure by Pelosi to try to hold everybody off. I think we will get some Democrats to sign this discharge petition. And look, once you see that happening, Sean, I think there's going to be a groundswell, a grassroots movement all across the country of people that are going to just ask the simple question, not whether or not my member of Congress will sign, but why hasn't my member of Congress signed? And look at my website, republicanwhip.gov. When you go to republicanwhip.gov, we're going to have a list, and you can click on the list and see who signed the discharge petition, see if your member of Congress is there, and if they're not there, pick up the phone and call and say, not are you or not you going to get on, but you have to sign this bill. If you dare say you're pro-life, you have to sign the discharge petition to bring this bill to the floor.
Unbelievable. Let me ask you a question as we move on for this. I really want you to be successful in everything here. I want to ask, and I guess this goes to the heart of what the Republican Party is going to stand for. Why is there resistance among some Republicans to go forward with the president taking on health care again? Why is there some resistance, among Republicans as it relates to the emergency order, which, by the way, is supported legislatively? What I think it's 10 USC 284, if my mind serves me right, my memory serves me right. And also constitutionally, the president has the job as commander in chief. And I think there's been enough homicides. I think there's been enough, sexual assault cases, violent assault cases by illegal immigrant criminals that would show that it is, in fact, a real crisis, as even Obama's DHS Secretary Jay Johnson said. Why is there resistance for some Republicans to just stand up, take a stand, and fight? I don't get it.
Well, Shauna, and we know that there are members in other places on this. I strongly support what President Trump is doing to build the wall, to even go to the step of declaring a national emergency, because it is. I mean, it's a serious crisis at the border. I've seen the problems. I've talked to Secretary of Homeland Security Nielsen about the problem. And we were able, even with Pelosi, we were able to get $4.5 billion of new wall funding, but there's still more that needs to be done, and that's why the national emergency declaration is so important. And then let's shift to healthcare, Sean, because, you brought up this, this lawsuit that's out there. Let's keep in mind, it wasn't Donald Trump, but Nancy Pelosi who wrote Obamacare. It was Nancy Pelosi who famously said, you have to pass the bill to find out what's in it. And if Nancy Pelosi's bill that they rammed through Congress that nobody read, if Nancy Pelosi's bill is ruled unconstitutional, which many of us, by the way, predicted it would be back then when we voted against it, then it's not Donald Trump's fault that she wrote an unconstitutional law. But frankly, not only is it unconstitutional, it doesn't work. It's hurting families with pre-existing conditions who have to pay double-digit increases in their premiums, who in some cases are paying $10,000 deductibles. Let's focus on protecting people with pre-existing conditions and lowering premiums by letting you decide what's best for you and your family. Pick the plan that's best for your family and buy it from wherever you want to buy it, whatever state you want to buy it from. That's how healthcare should work. And right now, that's not what we have under Obamacare. And so, again, Nancy Pelosi is the one who rammed the bill through Congress, knowing that there were serious legal problems with it. She wasn't concerned about that when she passed it. She should be asked that question.
All right, Congressman, thanks for what you're doing. Keep us up to speed. And if we need to put up a few Democrats that are in pro-life districts, remind their constituents. We'll be glad to help you in any way we can.
And a lot of them ran saying they'd be pro-life, Sean. We're going to hold them accountable for this.
Send us over a list of those. Send me a list of that.
We'll send you the link. We will definitely send you the link. Let's go defend the lives of babies who were born alive.
All right. Thank you, Congressman. All right. The IRS is warning you, we, the taxpayers and businesses and tax professionals, to be on the lookout for predators fishing for personal information, of course, at the height of the tax season. Now, if scammers get their hands on your data or previous tax return, well, that information can be used to fill out their own returns. In other words, if you file your return after the scammer, well, the IRS may not even accept your return because return's already been filed in your name. How crazy is that? All right. Tax season is prime time for these scammers. And unfortunately, cyber criminals, they use this information and they do file tax returns in your good name. Now, thank goodness there's LifeLock. They are here to help if that ever happens. They detect a wide range of identity threats like your social security number for sale on the dark web. LifeLock, if you have a problem, they have a team, U.S.-based restoration specialists. They will fix it for you. LifeLock is the identity theft protection for tax season and all year round. And right now, if you go to LifeLock.com or call 1-800-LifeLock, mention my name, Hannity, you'll get 10% off your first year. That's LifeLock.com, 1-800-LifeLock, to protect your name, your reputation, and your finances. 1-800-LifeLock, LifeLock.com, promo code Hannity. We'll continue.
While the mainstream media is asleep at the wheel, Hannity Watch is on the job, bringing you the news no one else can. Sean Hannity.
New beginnings are on the way. A resurrection is in your future.
This spring, SiriusXM's Joel Osteen Radio inspires you to bloom.
New growth is coming your way. New opportunities, new friendships, new levels of confidence, supernatural breakthroughs.
Believe.
You are going to blossom into the fullness of what God has created you to be.
Joel Osteen Radio, SiriusXM 128, or listen on demand, online or on the app.
It's amazing but true. When it comes to one of America's biggest household expenditures, healthcare,
A lot of people think they've got no choice. People are used to thinking we have to do it this way, but they don't. Yes, you have the freedom to choose an alternative with your health care. It's MediShare, and it costs way less than the alternatives. The typical family saves $500 a month, not a year, a month. And if you're single, this can save you a lot too. And let's face it, a big reason MediShare is 400,000 people strong. It just works. They've shared over $3 billion in medical bills, so they can help share your needs too. Joining MediShare for so many people is one of those things that makes you say, why didn't I do this before? So yes, the time has come for something better. Look into joining MediShare and see why so many people are opting out of the old way and into the new. Why not look into this? Just call 844-94-BIBLE. That's 844-94-BIBLE. 844-94-BIBLE.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-200-1966. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems.
Or AOC. You know, that's what I guess her fans call her, because she's at AOC on Twitter. Anyway, so she's in a battle with Liz Cheney over the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution. And it's interesting because they're going after each other, and Liz Cheney took issue with Ocasio-Cortez's statement during a, conspiracy tinfoil hat town hall on MSNBC, in which the freshman congresswoman talked about Democrats being in control of Congress in the 30s and 40s, when our party was the boldest, the time of the New Deal, the Great Society, the Civil Rights Act, and so on. No, that was in the 60s, but we'll get to that in a minute. We had and carried supermajorities in the House, the Senate. We carried the presidency. They had to amend the Constitution of the United States to make sure that Franklin Delano Roosevelt did not get reelected, she continued. Liz Cheney writes, well, we knew the Democrats let dead people vote. According to at AOC, they can run for president, too. According to AOC, Congress amended the Constitution to prevent FDR from being elected. Well, the problem is FDR died in office in 1945. The 22nd Amendment was in 1947. Whoopsie daisy. And in response, Cheney tweeted, well, what I just said about, now dead people can run for president. She writes back, hey, Representative Cheney, I see from your dead people comment that you get your news from Facebook memes, but the National Constitution Center and Newsweek are just 2 of many places where you can clarify your misunderstanding of the history of the 22nd Amendment, she wrote. And, according to that, discussion of the 22nd Amendment and term limits began in 1944 after presidential candidate Thomas Dewey warned a 16-year term of Roosevelt was a threat to democracy, so on and so forth. Cheney, she actually has a JD law degree from the University of Chicago Law School, 1996. Hey, AOC, I know you're busy, so I thought this short would be helpful to introduce you to the basics of the Constitution. If you're trying to figure out how the bill becomes law, they have a great video of that, too, which is hilarious. And she writes back, AOC does, she has nothing to say because she's wrong, as usual. All right, your call's coming up straight ahead as we continue the Sean Hannity Show. Awesome Hannity tonight. Tell you about that coming up. 9 Eastern, Fox News. Glad you're with us.
Hi, my name is Anna Lawrence. This is my husband, Tracy Lawrence, and we're the proud parents of Lieutenant Clint Lawrence, who is currently serving a 20-year sentence at Fort Leavenworth Prison. President Obama, I would like to ask you, please, 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 give my son a full pardon and send my boy home. President Obama, to date, you have shown mercy and granted presidential pardons and commutations to over 600 Americans who made poor choices and ended up in prison. With all due respect, sir, my son didn't make a poor choice. The only choice that he made was to serve his country. Mr. President, you've acknowledged that those that you have helped have taken full responsibility for their actions, and they deserve a second chance. Our son, too, deserves that second chance. Mr. President, if I could speak to your heart for a moment, parent to parent, I would like to tell you a little bit about who my son is. My son is a very, very outstanding young man that loves his country and willingly and proudly chose to serve his country.
What you just heard there was the mother of Clint Lawrence. This was a video she put out pleading with then President Barack Obama about the case of her son. We have covered this many, many, many times on this program. Now, the president did something very interesting this week as it relates to Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher. And he said in honor of his past service to our country, Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher will soon be moved to less restrictive confinement while he awaits his day in court. Process should move quickly. And in the case of Gallagher, was arrested on September 11th while receiving medical care. Camp Pendleton has been held in San Diego's Naval Consolidated Brig Miramar with sex offenders, rapists, pedophiles. You know, the lawmakers blasted during a Capitol Hill rally on Thursday. Gallagher has pleaded not guilty to war crimes stemming from a deployment to Iraq nearly 2 years ago. And, we have this problem where, especially under the rules of engagement of Obama, we have a problem. That is that you have men and women in the battlefield that are being second guessed while they are having handcuffs put on them. And then if they make a wrong decision, this is during a time of war, then they are being held accountable and they're trying to prosecute these people. And it's not, we told you about Christian Saucier. Okay, he had 6 pictures of the submarine he was so proud to work in. Thankfully, and he served his time, had to leave his mother and his wife and his daughter and spend a year in jail. Well, in the case of Clint Lawrence, this is another travesty of justice because of these asinine rules of engagement during the Obama years. And they were put in place. And literally, Clint had just become the platoon leader about a week or a week and a half after members of that platoon were killed by jihadists, radical Islamists in Afghanistan that were riding motorcycles like they were with a car bomb. So all of a sudden, Clint is there with his platoon. He's leading that platoon. And he only really has a split second to decide, are these people in the motorcycle that are coming towards his platoon, just like what happened before I got here that killed these guys, are they jihadists? Is this another example or not? So he had to make a split second decision. He made the decision that he couldn't risk the lives of his men. And as a result, well, now he's facing 30 years in jail. And the sad part is since this trial and all this took place, new evidence was discovered in this particular case where the people that died on the motorcycles, their fingerprints. In other words, DNA evidence is available on IEDs that were planted in and around the same area. Biometric details that they didn't have in place, evidence that exonerates Clint because he rightly figured out they were who they were, which, by the way, if we're going to send our brave men and women to go fight in the battlefield and we're going to put handcuffs on them, we're going to tie their hands behind their back and they have to make split second decisions that we're going to sit back in the comfort of our own protected homes, thanks to them, and then put them on trial and put them in jail for the rest of their life? No, that can't happen. Not in this country. Don Brown joins us. He's the author of The Travesty of Justice, the shocking prosecution of Lieutenant Clint Lawrence, also a JAG officer, and he's on Clint's legal team. And this book is exposing what is now overwhelming evidence to exonerate Clint Lawrence. He's not guilty of anything. And, do you know if this has gotten into the hands of the president? Is the president aware of Clint Lawrence's case?
Sean, thanks for sticking with the fight here. And this is a marathon for justice, and you've been a warrior. You're right. Clint is guilty of nothing. I don't know whether this has gotten into the president's hands, but I know a guy named Sean Hannity could walk it over there to him when we get a copy of the book in your hands. But I can tell you this, now is the time for action. Clinton needs to be exonerated now. And as you mentioned, John Maher, who's been on your show a number of times, who is the lead counsel for the defense team in this case, was kind enough to bring me on board as the fourth JAG officer fighting for Clinton's freedom, along with Kevin Mikashek and David Bolgiani. And this is not a close call. What we are hoping to do is to see President Trump sign what we call a disapproval of findings in sentencing to vacate the whole thing, not just a pardon. A pardon would be nice, but the problem, Sean, with a pardon is it implies guilt. He's guilty of nothing. Colonel West said recently that trying to charge these guys for murder in a battlefield is about as stupid as writing speeding tickets at the Daytona 500. And I can tell you this, Clint's been rotting at Leavenworth for 6 years, and he's got he had a 20-year sentence that was commuted 1 year down to 19 years. He still has another 13 years to sit there because